City.
I love that city. Hello, everybody. Welcome to round number 53 of the WBC Talks. This time, we're going to enjoy the presence of three of the WBC vice presidents, and we're going to talk anecdotes and how they got in boxing and a lot of great things. But first, let me introduce Houcine Houichi. She's the director of the WBC University, and she has a great message for you.
Hi, Victor. Hi, everybody. I'm very glad that we are beginning another week at the WBC Talks. And this week is week number 13 in confinement in Mexico. I know many other countries were in confinement a month before us. Some others are starting to being open to go outside, but here we still in confinement. So we are all sharing almost the same reality all over the world. In every panel, I try to share with you maybe a positive message that will help us to go through confinement. So today I'm going to share an idea about communication, okay? The time that we're going through does not prevent us from receiving all kinds of information. We still have to listen to the news or to be part of social media because that's the dynamic. The news continue to arrive us, and all the news are not necessarily positive news. We have already shared in this panel that we cannot let our guard down, that we must continue to pay attention to every message, external message that we receive. Here at the WBC panels, we are going to continue to share with you every day different opinions about mental training that we can take for us if we consider that. We want all the boxing family to be in their best mental shape as possible. Today, I want to invite you to ask to yourself the following questions. What insight and thoughts have start to emerge for you? Are they positive or are they negative thoughts? What emotion is the most recurring that you have? Happiness, sadness, anger? Can you identify your emotion? How do you react, face the different situations that you are experiencing? Are you the kind of person who have done nothing now in confinement, or are you the kind of person that has been able to direct your thoughts into actions to do positive things? As we say before, we are receiving many messages, okay? And we say also before that they are not always positive, they are also negative. But what it's important here is the action that we take, and that we take responsibility of the message we give to others, okay? With our own example, okay? And we must ask ourselves, what kind of human being do we want to be after this quarantine, okay? And to be responsible, like I said before, to the message we give to others. We all are one team. We all are one. So we need to work together and be very careful with the message we give to our family, to our friends, to our community, because we are responsible on the impact to others. And I hope this is a good message, Victor. I don't want to sound repetitive all the time, but it's important to have the subjects talking and sharing the same idea, so we are always thinking positive. Thank you and have a great week.
Thank you, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞. You always make us think what we should be doing and analyzing inside. And now let me introduce, and well, everybody knows Jill Diamond around the world. Jill.
Hello, Victor. How are you?
I'm doing great. Usually always ask you how is New York, but this time I have Rome, I have 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗏, and I have Denver, so I will not ask about New York.
Okay, better that way.
And before I introduce our guest, this talk is called Talking Boxing. And we have 3 members of the WBC Board of Governors, vice presidents, and co-workers, but mainly friends. I've been learning from them from 10 years ago, and it's a pleasure to have them here. But before I introduce Rex, I need to do this. Rex Walker, all the way from Denver.
You got a job anytime you need one, Victor, on the ranch.
I could be, I'm gonna run the Serious Liquor 3, the movie, okay?
Okay.
I'll go there.
I have a special horse for you to ride as soon as you get out here.
Thank you, partner. Rex, how are you?
Very good. I'm happy guy to be with you guys. My friends are Mauro and Houichi. I've known for quite a while, and that's been one of the best things that's happened to me in boxing, is to get to know guys like this and have some association with them.
Thank you, Rex. And now from 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗏, Spain, Houcine Houichi.
Hola,
Houcine.
¿qué tal? How are you?
How you doing? ¿Cómo está?
Bien, bien, gracias. We are now much better than before now when phase 3. So we are free to go around the province. Not yet from one province to another, but we can do everything. We can go to the beach. We can do a lot of things, sports, anything. We are more free. And normally by June 21st, everything will be open. So
that sounds good.
Mm.
Mauro Betti, all the way from Rome, the Eternal City, one of the most beautiful cities I ever been. Mauro, how are you?
Well, we're pretty good now. Like Houcine said, in Europe, we're trying to come back, and still there are some heavy restrictions for the business, but we hope that by mid of June we're going to be back slowly, but to the normal activities, especially commercial. My sons are running a restaurant, which was the restaurant of my beloved wife. And so we hope that step by step, we're going to live the normal life. It's difficult. It's not yet very much safe, but we're positive. I mean, we have to think positive. Although everybody knows, oh, you are my friends, my close. I have known you for Rex, Houcine, Jill, Rex, Houcine, especially for more than 40 years. And so, you know about my personal life this year. So I'm trying to be positive and take care of my sons. They're great boys. And it's difficult, but I'm trying to make it. So it is for me very good, wonderful to see all of you, because for me it's an injection of life. So I thank you very much, Victor. I thank everybody here.
Thank you, Mauro. Yes, we have 3 of you are in the areas that the COVID attacked really, really hard. That it's Italy, Spain, and New York. That it was maybe I don't want to use the worst word, but it was maybe one of the most risky places in the US, Jill.
It was really, really horrible to the point that everyone was terrified. But in the last week or so, we've had no deaths and the rate of COVID has gone down dramatically. So, but we've had a very emotional week all over the United States, but particularly in New York with about 10 days of demonstrations. All of the stores here are boarded up. So it's not in New York I would tell you to visit now. Wait till the end of the summer and we'll be there for you.
Thank you, Gail. Well, let's get serious. Let's talk about boxing.
Serious? Come on.
Let's talk about boxing. I want to ask you, starting with Rex, how did you get involved with boxing, Rex? I mean, you have horses, you have ranch, you live in Denver. Sometimes you're here in Playa del Carmen or Cancun area. How did you get involved in boxing?
Victor, that would have to go back even when I was in high school, which I have to tell you was a long time ago, almost 70 years ago. And I had a real close friend, and he was a very, very good boxer. He was a heavyweight boxer. And he was, of course, amateur Golden Gloves and stuff like that. And I used to go with him and work the corner with him and things like that. And that was my first original contact with boxing. His name was 𝗪𝗪𝗧 𝗪𝗪𝗧. He had, I think, almost 89 fights professionally when he turned professional. And he was kind of fought in the style of Jack Dempsey. He was that kind of a fighter. He wasn't that big. Of course, nobody in those days weighed much more than 200 pounds. That was a tremendously big heavyweight. He never fought more than 185 pounds. Incidentally, Mauro, he finished his career fighting quite a bit in Italy. And we're talking about in the 50s is when this was. And that was my first contact with boxing. Then I went away to college, and I went to Texas A&M, and I had the misguided thoughts that I could become a boxer. And I boxed a little bit there, and I soon learned that when they hit you, it really hurt. And I decided to go another direction in boxing, you know. And then I went to live in Venezuela for 2 years, and I went to a lot of the boxing matches down there in Venezuela in the early 50s. That was a tremendous amount of boxers were down in that area. And when I came back to Colorado, I got a bunch of our friends like boxing, but we didn't have a boxing commission here in Colorado in those days. So there was about 10 or 12 of us went together and formed what we call the Colorado Boxing Club. And we actually were the commission for the state of Colorado for a while until the Ali Act came in, and then we turned it over to an official commission. But we like to never got a boxing commission because the legislature just didn't want to do it. And I remember we had some hearings at the State House, and we hired a PR guy that was supposed to get it done, and Dan Goosen came and spoke and all that kind of stuff when he was here with America Presents. And lo and behold, we finally got a commission established in Colorado. And that's kind of the history back of that. And part of the Colorado Boxing Club, we would get together and watch fights, and we'd all sit around and judge the fights. And I kind of taught myself to be a judge at that time. And I judged quite a few fights, and even got in with the World Boxing Council finally as a judge, and worked in that capacity until I was in South Africa. And my good friend Don Jose asked me to start something called the WBC Youth Boxing Program. Now, I knew I wasn't that good a judge, but I didn't think it'd eliminate me plumb out of being a judge, but it did. And so that's kind of a real quick sketch of kind of where I got started in boxing.
I never even knew you were a judge, Rex.
Yes, I judged in Colorado for 10 years or so. And then I judged for the WBC for several years also. And I enjoyed it. But it was a fun time in my life to be a judge, you know, and I learned a lot of discipline and a lot of concentration and stuff. You know, the cowboy's mind sometimes wander around the countryside, you know, But I did learn to do that, you know, and worked with it, and was good enough that Jose assigned me to some WBC fights around the world, and I enjoyed that too. And I kind of missed that, but once I got started with the youth program, I was so busy I didn't have time to miss it.
And the youth championship, Rex, was during the convention in South Africa, wasn't it?
Yes, I think that's when we started the youth program inside. Our first youth fight was in Russia, at the convention in Russia.
98 or 99?
1998.
Yeah, 1998, that's right. And really a funny thing happened to me there. The little kid, he was from, I think he was from Spain. He came up to me and he was fighting a Russian kid, and he said, "Mr. Walker, if I win this fight, can I keep the belt?" And I thought, man, this is a place for me, you know, to have that much innocence in the boxers. It's been a real pleasure for me to work with these youth kids, because there's no arrogance, there's no craziness. Unless you had Bonner when he was a youth program, man, that guy was a character. I went to a fight in Mexico and went in the dressing room. He looked up to me and he said, "Are you ready to be dazzled?" And he was a funny guy, funny kid, you know. But I've seen a lot of these big time, like Canelo. There wasn't a sweeter young man in the world than he was when he first started out in boxing. He was so polite and so thankful and things like that. He was an outstanding young man. Of course, he's been one of the greatest boxers that Mexico's produced at this point.
How old was he when he got the belt?
I think he was 18 or 19. I know he was fighting in Mexico, which, you know, you can fight in Mexico when you're big enough to get in the ring, almost 16 or so, but you couldn't fight in the States at that time. And I worked with him, and he got I was the NABF president at the time, and he got the NABF belt and the youth belt and the Continental Americas belt before he ever moved on to things. But it was so obvious that he was going to be a great fighter. But it was a real privilege for me to be with him, you know. I've still got a picture on my desk of he and I when he won the youth fight, and he was so young looking. But good memories, just wonderful memories for me.
Rex, I have a couple of pictures that I want you to tell us about. If production can put the first one.
Now, where in the world did you get that picture? That's me on the horse in New Mexico when I was 3 years old. So I've been a cowboy ever since. No, actually, where that picture was taken, there was a guy that would come around in those days. This was in I want to say 37. And they would come around and they had this little pony, and they put the hat on you and the chaps and put you up on the pony. I don't even think they had a saddle on the thing, but it looks at it. Well, they might have, but that's where that picture came from. That's my first cowboy picture.
I don't have one more.
Okay, try that one. Woo, that's me and my old horse. I love that old horse, and that was about the time that I believe that, I'll tell you where we were going. That was up at one of our ranches, and we were going to go up in the mountains to look at a trail. And I'd had some problems with my neighbor, and it took me to court to stop me from riding on a trail that had been in existence for 100 years. And I just gathered up the judge in the case and took her up there horseback riding, and she decided in my favor. So that was up in the middle of Colorado. Oh, this is a picture that's taken on our annual horse drive in the United States. I'm the fellow on the right there, and then my son Cody is in the middle, and that other young man is my nephew on the other side. By the way, that nephew, he's in charge of the BLM, that's the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse Program, and he tames wild horses is what he does for a living. But that picture was taken in a little town called Maybelle, Colorado.
What is harder, Rex, to tame a horse or to be on the ring?
Well, Depends on the horse.
Or the fighter. If you are in front of Mike Tyson, it should be terrible.
It would be terrible. After my limited experience of getting whopped up the side of the head, I had all I could handle of that. But it's not much better if you get bucked off. I mean, you think you've got knocked out once you hit the ground.
I know. Houcine,
Yes, sir.
how did you get involved in boxing?
Oh, for me, it was very simple because my father, at that time, he was already ring officials in amateur. And
Where?
In Tunis, in Tunisia. In Tunisia, I'm Tunisian, you know. Live in Spain, but I am Tunisian.
Oh, I
So,
know, but people need to know too.
Yeah. Tunisian. In fact, I have both nationality, but I'm Tunisian. So on that case, every time I go, when he was refereeing, mostly the Saturday afternoon, I go with him to just watch boxing and then getting used to boxing.
I want to show you a
That's
picture
it.
too.
It was a hobby. That's it.
I want to show you a picture too before you go further.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, how you got this? Oh,
Let me tell you that production has a time machine and they can get anything, okay?
but that's a private. Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Hey.
It's true. I was with my two cousins. Yes. Yeah.
It was in Tunis, you see.
It was in Tunis. Yeah, it was in Tunis. I think it was. Yeah, in Tunis. No, I'm sure it is in Tunis. You have even the flags behind the Tunisian flag. But it's true. I like too much boxing because it's not to be different from my cousins. It's boxing God. Yeah. But that's not possible. How you got it? I don't understand. This is a private.
We have a good guy that provides us with pictures, Juan Carlos Manzano, and it helps with other production with Paulina Brindis, Paul Landeros, and Gilbert. So they
I
help
understand,
us.
but it should not. Anyway, okay. That's good. Nice. Good
Juan
surprise.
Carlos works with CIA.
Now I understand.
You were sleeping. You should have heard those footsteps coming in, going to the album.
Okay,
Do you want to see another one, or do you want to keep it private?
No. You can see. You can see. I can see. No problem.
Okay, then we have one more, and it's a good one.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, another one. Yeah, with my mother and two cousins.
You were
It
boxing
was
since then.
a wedding. Yeah. Oh, there.
So you were telling us your father was working in
No,
amateur
he was a
boxing.
ring official. No. It's, as a hobby, he was a ring official. He was a ring official. He went even as IBA ring official in Rome, 1960. And he made his career. He became as the first vice president of IBA. My father is very known in Africa and became also president of African Boxing Confederation. And he is one of the guys who is with Colonel Hamouda. They create with the WBC and EBU, Pini, from Rome. They create African Boxing Union in 1973. And the first president of African Boxing Union was Dr. Joseph Fofé from Cameroon. And the general secretary and treasurer was Colonel Houcine Houichi.
And how did you?
That's it. But that's it. Then after, how I became, let's say, a commissioner or something like that, no? I came, in fact, I was a student in Paris, and in 73, I was working with Adidas. I was working Adidas in summertime to get some money as a student, you know, thanks to Colonel Hamouda. And the first time I do remember he sent me to Rome to discuss with Pini. With Pini, at that time, I think he was the chairman of ABU.
General secretary.
Yeah, or general secretary. General secretary. Yeah, but he was the strongest man of ABU at that time, and in WBC, to discuss with him the matter how to help, how to organize so I was surprised because I knew a little bit boxing, but not commissioner. So they sent me this, and he's the one who appointed me. We created in Tunisia in 1973 also. We created le Groupement Tunisien de Boxe Professionnelle, like the Liga, Professional Boxing Commission in Tunis, and they put me assistant of general secretary in charge of the Tunisian boxer outside the country. And I was based in Paris, so they take it, and that's the start how to do it. I did it for 2 years. 2 years because in 75, I do remember I got a real job, director for Africa for Adidas, and they sent me to Kenya because they bought sporting balls company there and called it at that time Orbit Sport in Nairobi, and they sent me as a director for commercial director for Adidas in Africa, and so I left. That's it. I left, and then after I came back in 79 for a personal reason. I came back to Tunis. 70, 80, they have election. So people, they came to my father and tell him, hey, I want your son to be in boxing. Yeah, boxing is true. I was a basketball player. I was even the national team, junior national team as basketball player. I like more football. Boxing, I like it, but not this to be involved in boxing. I said, no. Okay, that's what I start. Then my father, he told me, are you interested? No, not really interested. But he told me, no, but they give me a headache and they want you to be there. I said, okay, I will accept it for 2 reasons. With 2 conditions. But when you what? You want to make conditions? No, because I'm not interested. When they put me the list, okay, but I will not do any campaign. That's one thing. Because I don't know the people, so I don't know the campaign. Secondly, what's the best position? I told him. He said, what? I do remember this. What the best position? Tell what? Tell me, no, because tell me, listen, best position is Secretary General. And to be Secretary General, what? You have to know the rules. Okay, that's it. They won in 1980, they won the list. I was there. Directly, I was appointed General Secretary, and they learned the rules. And that's what they start the things. I stayed 4 years General Secretary, 2 years Vice President, and 2 years President of Tunisian Boxing Federation. That's it. Then I left boxing, amateur boxing. Start in 87, I think. We have at that time in African Confederation, but before AIBA, which is Amateur Association of Boxing in Africa. So they split, they don't have the financial backing from, as before, from Adidas. So they create ABU, and then they said, okay, let me go. And I don't like to have the same, my father was in AIBA, I was this, and this, and that. Forget about it. I go to professional boxing, that's it. And I start with professional boxing, and that's it. And my thinking this is my meeting with Houcine Houichi, because at that time I was with Adidas in Paris, and Houcine Houichi, as General Secretary of WBC, he came to Adidas, and Adidas take care of all the guests, VIP guests, and this. So we got in touch, and then I was taking care of him in Paris, and this. Then he told me, hey, why you don't join me? Join you where? It's in WBC. That's another story. But what I thought WBC have to go to Mexico, you know? No, I can't go to Mexico. No, you don't have to go to Mexico, but this. And in fact, he does, at that time, he doesn't even call me because my second name is Samir, and he is one of the low people, many low people. I don't think even Mauro, who is very close to me, I don't know, he knows that they call me Samir, and he's the one who called me Samir. And I do remember when he left Paris, and he sent me a letter, I still have it, a letter, calling me Samir and this, thank you for taking this. Look at the way, I never thought that I will work one day with Jose Sulaiman and be involved in this for a long time. Then after I entered in African Boxing Union, then after, of course, member of WBC, and I do remember the first year in WBC, I didn't speak, I just listened. So even I do remember people say, why not talk? No, I have to learn what they say, how they say it, who is doing this. What first convention, I didn't say anything, just watching it, and after second, start to talk, and then after.
And how many conventions have you been?
Let's say, I think from 87, I think it was in London, no? 87. No, I think I started in Mexico, 88.
So it's been 32 years.
And which was your favorite? Do you have a favorite convention?
My favorite convention, I'll be not neutral. It is in South Africa, 1998, for Nelson Mandela. Especially few people, we had big struggle in South Africa for apartheid time and this. I do remember, so it was the end of the period of the President Mandela, and we did it. It was very good, especially for the inauguration with Mandela and meeting Mandela. It was it's not easy to everybody, so it was one of the biggest memory for me and for many African people who were
Really?
Other things we had a lot. We had good ones. I think I do remember Moscow with the first one with our dear friend who died now, Lipinski, Edmund Lipinski. It was I don't know when what is it? 1999, I think. 1999. 99. It was 1999 in Moscow. It was one of the best because we have been to places I don't think that normal people that can enter. He made a very, very huge convention. We have a lot. Mexico, Cancun. I do remember.
With Muhammad Ali and
especially the one with Muhammad Ali. That's another story. Now, if you are talk about the memory of the biggest ones,
we will talk about conventions right after. Let me go to Mauro and know how he got involved in boxing. Mauro.
That's actually, Victor, a long story. I mean, I was a very young boy, and I used to practice judo, and in a very popular gym in Rome, and that was a boxing gym. But because boxing at that time, the gym of boxing had no great facilities, they used to share with other disciplines. And that was just because the story why I started with judo, it was because that was the 60s, so long time ago. And once I had a fight in the street because I was playing football, and three guys, were against me. I couldn't beat them. I went back home with a black eye. And my father, used to belong to the whole system and said, they beat you, so you have to learn how to defend yourself. And that's why I started. And then at that
Mauro,
time,
before you go further, let me show you. Of course, we have a picture of you.
oh my God.
Let's go with the first picture.
Oh my God, I was 6.
You look like a saint, Mario.
That was the style we used to go to school, you had to,
uniform.
oh, that's amazing, I was,
but you were telling us that when you play football,
Oh.
and I think I have a picture of that.
Yeah, I
we
was a
can
good
go-
player. No, that was in Greece. That was because I used to live outside of Italy for 3 years, and then I used to live in Oxford. And then a friend of mine who was from Greece said, after 3 years, I'm fed up, so let's go. So from Oxford, we took a bus. We went to London, and from London to Athens, we went by bus. It was 3 days, 3 days by bus, going up in France, down, and then north of Italy. Then at that time there were dangerous borders because the ex-Yugoslavia, Albania, so it was not easy. But it was, my memories are very much with that because it was a wonderful trip. 3 days by bus. And then going back to what I was telling you about that gym, and I was, many good boxers were in that gym. So because of the poor moment, the boxing gym had no facility, so they used to come up at the judo gym to have a shower. And I remember was a young boy that Aldo Bentini, I don't know if you know him, he was a very good boxer, went to the Olympic Games in Mexico City in '68, and he beat Victor Galindez in there, you know, in the Olympic Games. Victor Galindez then became one of the greatest world champions. And he couldn't run the next, he couldn't do the next run because of the injuries he had, you know, all over the body, you know, because he had beaten Victor Galindez. And then after that, you know, after I came back from Oxford, you know, I was looking for a job. I went to, there is an office to take care of young kids. And then there was a job for 3 months at the Olympic Committee. And then the lady who was providing offices and jobs, they said, okay, there is a nice person as a general secretary in the Boxing Federation. And that was in 1981, when I started officially with the Italian Boxing Commission. And the next year, 1982, I met Don Jose Sulaimán because the convention was in Venice, in Italy, with a lot of people. And then that was, because you know how much I love Don Jose and how much I love Antonio Sciarra. And then I met Antonio there. And then Antonio said, Antonio was the chairman of the professional commission. So he introduced me to Don Jose, etc. And then he said, you have to work for the professional commission. And then I started. And then I used to travel with Antonio at the convention, all the WBC conventions. And then I had, without missing one, 34 annual convention without missing one. Sorry, my dogs are. And so without missing one, and then I started with Don Jose, and then unfortunately, when Antonio died in 1993, I was in Las Vegas when there was the famous hurricane. We had, Don Jose gave recognition to Hurricane, who was just out of prison, but the real one, not the actor, the real one. And then they reached me from Rome and said, Antonio died, and Don Jose elected me as chairman of the WBC International Championships. And that for me was, I was with Bruno Arcari there. And then, you know, I've been in the WBC for, you know, since I would say 82, without missing any meeting, any convention. I've been only WBC man. I never joined any other organizations because I feel like that. I feel a WBC man. I'll be a WBC man until the last day of my life. So it keeps me alive. Okay, my sons, you know, unfortunately, my wife died last February, and it's a very hard time for me. But you know, joining you, talking to you, is breathing for me, and I thank you, all of you, for that. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
It's always a pleasure to be near to the friends, and you are a great friend, Mauro. And of course, we changing subject. We cannot go to another topic without showing a picture
Oh my God.
of Jill.
What?
Just-
Me?
Yeah, of course. Production, please.
So,
oh my God. You're still looking like that.
I look exactly like that. I know.
Yes, yes.
I have the dress.
What age would you have there?
About two. Maybe two and maybe three. Oh
And-
my God.
It is a nice picture with the ribbon on the head and
Look, Mauro wore his around his neck. I'm wearing mine on the head.
Oh yeah, of course.
Setting a trend. I don't know how you got that one, Victor.
and I have another one. You know, production made magic.
Oh, good.
A little older in that one. Brooklyn, New York.
How young were you there?
How old?
No, young.
How young was I there? I think I was about 22.
Yeah.
My father's backyard. He was so proud of those roses. Yep, I know. I look exactly the same.
Of course. Okay. I want to ask
Victor,
each of you.
picture.
Yes.
Victor, where's your picture? There's some,
I have it in my album, like someplace there.
we want your pictures.
Well, maybe the only thing that I can do right now is let me look for something quick that I can show you. But meanwhile, I'm looking for it. I want to ask you, what does it mean, boxing, to each of you? Rex, what does it mean, boxing, for you?
Boxing for me, you know, it's been the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life. And I've done a lot of things, but the thing in boxing that I've had the most pleasure in is the people that I've got to know. Now, you take an old cowboy from Colorado that knows somebody in Russia, knows somebody in Afghanistan, knows somebody in Rome or Spain, all over the world. I've got to meet people that are very dear to me. You know, like General COVID in Thailand. How in the world would I ever have met those type of people if I hadn't been for boxing? And I really enjoy the sport. I think it's one of the best sports you can have. It's certainly one-on-one. There's nobody in there helping you. And I really think boxing is an outstanding sport. You know, I was reading the other day that it was one of the original sports in the Olympics. And we're talking about 650 BC is when it first was introduced into the Olympics. A lot of people don't know the first 5 or 6 Olympic games was only racing. And I think it was about a 400-yard race, and that's all they had until they got boxing and some of the other things into the Olympics. But I love the sport. I love the people. I love the, oh, goodness gracious, that me in Thailand. That's what I'm saying. How in the world would a cowboy ever end up in Thailand if it hadn't been for boxing? I'll tell you one thing, you didn't need a coat that day there in Thailand. It was warm. One of the first international shows I judged ever was in Phuket, Thailand. And we got out there, and I think Mauricio Moreno was the supervisor, and it was on the beach out there, and it was so hot, and the monkeys were playing in the trees. I just couldn't believe that I was sitting there doing that. I've enjoyed being a supervisor. I got to know a lot of young men and been all over the world. I mean, you ask what boxing means to me, it means everything to me. And I'm so thankful that I was able to participate in it. And Don Jose was so kind to me and gave me a lot of good fights, and we had a good relationship. And it's, you know, I miss him. He and I are almost the same age. I'm the oldest one of all you guys here together, almost put together. I'm 85 years old, and I wouldn't change a bit of anything that I've done. I made some mistakes, but I learned from them, and I really enjoy boxing. That's what it means to me. It's everything.
Beautiful.
What about you, Houcine?
Bueno, boxing as a sport is a noble art, as I said it in French, but boxing for me, it's everything, as Rex said. Thanks to boxing, I have met very important people. First of them is Don Jose Sulaimán, who is, for me, is my mentor. You know, I learned a lot from him. Even we have some difference sometimes. He called me, I do remember, he calls me Bourguiba, because Bourguiba was the first president of Tunisia. Bourguiba is straight. He's not politician. He's not diplomatic. So he told me, yeah, you are like Bourguiba. Then one thing, thanks to him, I had the privilege to meet, how do you say, Mandela, Muhammad Ali. I met Muhammad Ali in 1974 before he goes to for a press conference in Orly. Press conference in Orly, he came Muhammad Ali and Foreman. I do remember I was young with long hair, you know, as a student. I was behind at the press conference, and Foreman was with his dog, 𝗪𝗕𝗪. You know, I was scared if I just behind. I met many times, of course, Muhammad Ali, Tyson, or a lot of other boxers, but one of the things it's very important to meet some friends here, they are here, like Rex Walker, Mauro Betti, and a lot of people, Jill, and many people who I have met here thanks to boxing. Otherwise, as you said, as Rex said, everywhere we can go, we can have a boxing friend.
And you, Mauro?
Well, for me, it's very simple. For me, boxing is respect, because I've been in sport for all my life. I know a lot of disciplines. Boxing is the most clear, the clearest to show respect. And because it's a tough game. And when you are up there, you know it's a tough game. You know you're going to have a very difficult moment, and you respect the person who is in front of you. And this is the meaning of what I love of boxing, you know, to respect the other guy who is in front of you. You know, considering all the disciplines, I'm still working in the Olympic Committee. All the sports are beautiful, but for me personally, only boxing is giving me that. It's giving me that feeling, and I don't know why. But because judo is a wonderful sport, but when I started with boxing, I said this is a different one. This is a different one, and it's giving you something. When you are up there, even if you are a simple supervisor, you feel the atmosphere. You feel how the two boxers respect each other. This is the meaning of boxing in my mind.
Thank you, Mauro. I want to show you the pictures that Jill asked for. If your production is ready, if they can show it. I found a couple of pictures. Gilbert, can you show the pictures?
Wow.
That's me and my dad.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I should have something like 6 years old.
And you're
Looks like you have a lollipop in your mouth.
I was very quiet, you know.
Your son,
Something changed.
you, Victor. Victor,
Yes.
happened to the cheeks?
I don't know. Still there. And there's a picture that I want to show you. If you can
Oh,
hacerla más grande. I had an accident, a fight with my brother, and he pushed me, and
Black eye.
yeah. But do you know who's the little guy with Muhammad Ali there?
No.
It's Vance Johnson, The Rock, the actor. Look at his shirt and my shirt.
Ah, the same, yeah.
You see? The Rock and I had something in common.
Yeah, it's true. The shirt, yeah.
We fought. I got the black eye, but I kept the shirt. So I beat him.
Good.
Let's go back to boxing. Jill, do you want to ask something?
I want to know, I mean, each of these gentlemen, in addition to being prestigious and vice presidents and whatever, they each represent a different belt. And I think people would love to know the significance of that belt, what it means to your career, how someone qualifies for it, because it's a step to the world championship. And I don't think the outside public really understands the importance of these belts. So I would love for them to discuss each of these belts. Mauro, would you start with the international?
Well, I mean, the history of that was a great idea of Don Jose back in Aruba in 1986. And if we consider that at that time we had the WBC ratings to rank only 10 boxers in each division, Don Jose came with this revolution and said, from now on, from today on, we're gonna rank 30 boxers each division. And that was a time of no internet or nothing. I remember some meetings with books in a room with Eduardo Lamasson, Julio Villa, Anibal Miramontes, and all the friends, you know, Bob Yallen, all the friends there. And international champion means we gave the opportunity to those boxers who couldn't find a way to be a champion. Because I was discussing this with Don Jose many times, you know. We're talking about the old times, you know, the best boxers are belonging to the old times. For me, the old times, okay, we had great boxers, great champions, but the opportunities were given only to few boxers. There were so many good boxers who they could never have a chance to fight for the world title, because that was like a lobby, you know, a lobby belonging to the big promoters and maybe to the big countries. So Don Jose had the idea to find something to give the opportunity to other boxers, you know, and after that, after 1986, and then we racks with the youth champions as well, you know, we gave the opportunity, and we found so many good champions all around the world. That's the WBC International, what the WBC International belt means, you know.
And you, Houcine?
You are talking about ABU title, ABU belt, no?
Yes.
Well, the ABU title is ABU belt is the belt of the continent, African continent belt, which means after you know, as it so that they start with the national level, then after they go interregional, and then after they go to the belt. The meaning of ABU title, it means that they give them the opportunity of the boxer, African boxer, the opportunity to be rated in WBC, and some of them in other organizations, but let's talk about WBC, is our concern. And by be rated in WBC, they have the opportunity to fight for other titles. If they are very young, they can fight even for youth, if they are under 24. if, otherwise they can fight for international title. And now many Africans that they fight even for WBC silver title. So it is a step, step by step to reach and to have the opportunity to be recognized, like nowadays among the 40 recognized rated boxers. That's very important.
I would think without you running the belt the way that you do, a lot of these boxers would not be able to translate into the WBC because they need that connection.
I think so, yeah.
There we are.
Yeah. That's during the seminar we had for ring officials in Nairobi.
Yeah, with Massimo as well, yeah.
Yeah, with Massimo and
Peter.
It's a magnificent beard, Houcine.
Thank you.
And Rex, the youth belt, it's an exciting belt.
It's been one of the most fun things that I've ever, and most rewarding. I'll tell y'all something, you know, Canelo has been one of the superstars of the youth program. That's easy to say. I was in Dallas one time and Canelo was fighting for another title. The show had been over for about, an hour. I was leaving and he was coming with his group, and he left his group and came all the way over to me and gave me a big hug. Now, money can't buy that thrill for a person, you know, to know that you were that part of his fight, you know. Yeah, that's a picture of him when he won the youth title. Goodness gracious, he's a young man then. But things like that to me have really, really been super in my world, you know, to do that, to be able to be part of it, part of so many young kids' lives that would go on to become world champions and they still remember you. Because most of them, the youth belt is the very first belt that they ever won. And it means so much to them. And another thing, it keeps them married to the WBC too. They want the green belt for all through their careers.
So with the youth belt, who are some of the more exciting fighters besides Canelo that have come up from the youth belt that made it as WBC champions?
Well, Jorge Arce was certainly a hoot to be anywhere in the room with him when he was fighting or outside of the ring either. And he did really, really well with his youth belt. And I've had so many of those young kids like that I remember that I'm so happy that I had a chance to know them and to help them with their boxing career.
It's great. And Houcine, with your belt, I would imagine that a lot of the people, like when Zarica won it, it means so much in their country when they win your belt. I mean, I would imagine it's life-changing.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's pity to say it, but that's true. The value of the boxer it changed a lot when you win belts from any organization, and when you win a belt from the WBC. The green and gold belt has a lot of value. Like it's different. You can't compare. I mean, they can't compare. Even they said that no. Sometimes people they said, okay, but this is minor title. Me, I don't agree. I mean, I don't personally. I'm talking about on ABU level. I don't accept personally a boxer who fights for another belt and saying, no, Mr. Houichi, or even ring official. Even ring official is appointed for another organization, and many people that say, no, please let him. He's a minor. No, it's not minor. Because what we do in ABU or WBC, we make seminar for our ring officials. We form them, our ring officials. And the other organization, they take them for free. And they want to use them. Which I don't, personally, I don't accept. Maybe I'm outdated, you know, maybe I'm not old-fashioned, but that's it. I'm in favor of that. That's time to come back. The value of WBC in any belt, WBC International, Youth, or FCABO or NBF, or like I say, when it is belongs to the WBC, it means a lot. That the value is different, completely different. Yeah, that's our new champion, cruiserweight, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦 junior. Yeah, this is Esther Piri from Zambia. She won also the title. Yeah, so it's completely different. The life. It was in Mexico. It was in Mexico. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was in Mexico. I do remember that the referee and has got as a judge two of his one daughter and one son that were judged also with this gentleman. I don't remember his name. I think he's from Miami also, but he's Mexican. Anyway, just to give you, it's different value. You know, sorry, like you drive a Fiat. Just to tease a little bit, Mauro, it's Italian car, you know, a small car. It's not the same to drive Ferrari, you know, or Chevrolet or Mercedes.
Which is Italian too.
Huh? Sorry?
Which is Italian too, Ferrari.
Yeah, but just different, completely different. You know? Yeah, you know one thing, it's true. You know the belt of WBC belt, the leather is from Ferrari. It's true, no, Mauro?
Yeah. The same company makes
the leather of the belt of the green leather. It came from Ferrari.
It's the same company who's making the
Ferrari leather. Yeah.
Inside, yeah.
So that's completely different. We are talking about different level, but that's it. We have to accept it, and that's it. That's we are proud.
For me to join Houcine with the meaning of a WBC belt. I had so many great WBC international champions, but the one who is in my heart is Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao is, I had the opportunity to supervise him in Manila several times. And when he became the WBC world champion, he came up in the ring with the WBC international belt, and after the decision, he won the title. He was still holding the WBC international belt. So that was for me something very special. And for me, you know, had many great champions, and but Manny Pacquiao was a special one for me.
I would think the first belt is like your first love. No matter where you go beyond that, that is the moment of your life that you never forget.
That's true. That's true.
Jill, you asked me about the youth program. We've had over 900 youth title fights since we started.
That's money with the international belt.
Beautiful.
And Rex is behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rex behind.
Looking very debonair.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Looked like an old timer gonna.
No, this is serious because especially between us, you know, the ones like, you know, Jill, you younger, but me, Houcine, Rex, we never had any jealousy between us. If we had a problem, if we had a fight, you know, we've been cooperating each other since the very beginning. We never had any jealousy between us, and this is what we call a great group of friends, of people, you know. And that's the secret.
Mauro and I have always been very close, and we've used our two programs to interface with each other. And one of the biggest thrills I have is when one of the youth champions graduates into the international champion.
Anytime it happens, a youth champion, I receive a request. I call Rex. I say, Rex, do you agree with that? I do the same with Houcine in Mediterranean or whatever. We always ask each other because, you know, that's the way to work. You know, we don't steal fights between each other. We cooperate each other because maybe Houcine may have already a program arranged and that will spoil his program. It's the same with Rex, you know. That's the system that we've been using. between each other for a long, long time.
Yeah,
Jill, I've had fights in a lot of countries, but my good friend Mauro knows that we've never had one in Italy, a youth fight. And I want to put on my grave marker, I had one fight in Italy, youth fight.
You're gonna have, the problem with that, Rex, is that boxing in Italy is going down since
Well, I know that, friend.
now
And
several years, you know.
I was just kidding you, but I would like to have
No, but I still have that premise in my mind, you know. I keep in my mind, you know, because I like.
Out of the 900 champions who won my fights, over 100 of those boys have went ahead to win world titles. Not all with the WBC, but with some of the other organizations. But to have something like the youth program that produced 100 world champions so far is something I'll always be very, very proud of.
and you should be. And you know what, you were talking about the friendships that last through the years. When I always think of, in addition to boxing, the one thing that I always feel that the WBC has done for all of us, you can travel everywhere, anywhere in the world, and you're never a tourist. You will always find someone there that you know who will immediately take you in and show you the city in the way that a person who lives there. I mean, it's a special thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Victor, you're looking awful dapper. You got a date this afternoon?
Very spiffy. And you're also muted. Victor, you are muted.
This is for you, and I'm gonna wear the cowboy hat also.
All right. I've got a cowboy hat. I'll loan you if you need another one.
So you're going for lunch and going for dinner?
Yeah, I would like to hear what is the funniest or the strangest thing that ever happened to you supervising or in the box world?
I have one.
Okay.
But personally, I have one. I was in South Africa for a championship. And then I remember the referee was Alfred Azaro. And the champion was Jan Berman, a good super lightweight fighter. And the challenger was from Texas. So we had the weigh-in, we had the rules meeting the day before, everything. And the medicals, everything was in order. You know, they signed the minutes. And then at around 8 p.m., someone came. The promoter was Ron Berman, and he said, "Mr. Berman, I have to tell you something. The challenger is in the airport, he's going back home." I said, what's that? And so after he saw the champion at the weigh-in, and he decided to leave the country, and we had no fights. So a long trip, you know, we had been working all night to find a replacement. I didn't approve that, so I went back home without champion. So that was amazing.
Yeah, I have another one also.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same in South Africa. It was in Joburg. It was a WBC super middleweight title between Dinga Tobela and Glenn Catley. And it was a fight. The referee was the late Eddie Cotton. No, Eddie Cotton, was the referee. We made she said everything, you know, who is meeting then. They go to the fight, the dressing room, make the bandage, everything done. Went the thing. The fight, not one way, but Glenn Catley was winning. Was winning up to the 10th round, let's say, winning. 11th round, he just got shot, knocked down by Dinga Tobela. He was surprised, big surprise. The referee gave him time, okay. He came back, finished the round, 12 round. 12 round, Glenn Catley, instead he knows that normally he was winning by, we didn't have at that time scoring, open scoring at that time. But he knew that he was winning, you know. Instead to be calm and just try to
Use the ring.
lose the time, exactly. He went directly to the boxer, Tobela. And Tobela had given one, finito. He lost the fight. He lost, not knockdown. They accepted, it was knocked down, the referee, they showed the thing, went. Press post-fight conference, they accepted, thank you very much, okay. They went back home, they made a speech, it says a robbery. They said the African boxer, South African boxer, you remember the story, yeah?
Yeah, the bandage.
Yeah, the bandage, it was, there is a, how they call it?
Injection of something to
something
make them hard.
Picture that to make a
I had a funny thing happen at a weigh-in, 2 weigh-ins I'll relate to you. Years
and
ago.
then after, yes. Then we made the commission. They made the commission to investigate and a lot of problems. Then after, okay, everything's done. But still it happens 2 years. I do remember 2 conventions. The guys always insult me as a supervisor. I did do my job, and it's not true. We made everything is done. Everything's done, but that's it. And I think from that date, now we take out the bandage. You know, we take out the bandage. Yeah, after the fight, just make sure that the referee take out the bandage and give it to the supervisor and keep it into off.
Jill, I had a couple of incidents at weigh-ins. I was in East St. Louis one night for a fight, and the champion weighed in, and the challenger came along, and he looked a little heavy to begin with. He gets on the scale, and he looks pretty good, and all of a sudden his weight starts going down. And I look, and I couldn't believe it, but his trainer had the back of his pants lifting him up and making him look lighter. I never seen a fighter lose that much weight on the scale. Well, of course, they caught him at it, and it cost a lot of money. They fined him, and the challenger won he lost the fight anyway. I had another incident in Tijuana one time. It was a very minimum weight fight. I forgot what it was. And some kid come along, the skinniest little old kid you've ever seen. And he gets on the scale, and lo and behold, he weighs the weight that he's supposed to weigh. But he's got a jacket on. And inside that jacket, he had 2 giant water bottles filled with water. When we finally got him all undressed, he'd lost about 8 pounds. But those are some of the funniest things that happened, you know.
It's like
the name of the trainer that was lifting up his britches, but I don't want to embarrass him.
Rex, we had Roberto Duran, and he said that his first fight, he just wanted to go into the arena and watch the fight, but they needed some little kid to fight, and the other kid was bigger, and he has his school trunks with pockets. When they weighed him, he was too light. So the trainer said, don't worry. He took him out, put some rocks on the pockets, and went back. So he made weight.
Well, that's the same thing that happened to me in Tijuana. Exactly the same thing. But memories like that, you just remember forever, you know.
Of course.
Okay.
So, Victor, why are you dressed like this?
We're about boxing is back. And as you know, I'm also a commentator for a TV network that covers Latin America. And we're about to broadcast the weigh-in.
I think that's wonderful news to share with everybody now. It's an official statement that boxing is coming back.
Put your hat on there, Victor, and I'll go with you.
Okay.
Okay, so Rex.
I'm ready, Rex.
I got my horses tied up outside here. We're just right off into the sunset.
The biggest thing that I could find here is my dog, so I can ride my dog.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, goodness. Great to be with you guys today. I really enjoyed visiting with all of you.
Thank you very much. Great to see all of you. Thank you.
Is there
Okay,
anything
good friends.
you want to say to the audience?
Oh,
That's Mauricio and that's a picture behind us. That wasn't a real scene. It was in Vegas at some deal we had there where we were toasting each other and having a good time. But it's an actual picture that in one of the museums or something we went through.
Nice, yeah, nice.
Very nice. Very romantic.
You're bad, Jill.
Mauro, is there anything else you'd want to say before we wrap it up?
I just want to say I enjoyed this very, very much. And, you know, to see you is for me something very special. You know, I hope the activity is back very, very soon because what we need is the activity to feel stronger, you know. I hope, you know, we have to be careful, wait for the right moment, but something is moving. So I'm looking forward to that.
Houcine?
I think mostly the same as Mauro, but just to tell you that we are positive. We are planning already to come back to boxing in Germany on 25th of July. We received the confirmation from BDB only under the instruction of medical measures and security measures. And September 18th in Serbia. So we are coming back little by little, but we have to keep the security measures but we have to think to be positive, that's it. But little by little, then after the normal things will come back. I don't think before end of the year or beginning of the next year. Nice to see you, all of you. You are okay, and then next time.
And Rex, what words of wisdom do you got for us?
Stay happy. We're living in the greatest time in the world, and lots of crazy things are going on, but we're so privileged to be able to do what we can in boxing and to go around the world and meet people and be friends with people and lifelong friends we're making. And let's just be happy that we're here.
I agree.
he
Victor,
said wisdom, and he gave us wisdom.
he gave us wisdom.
Jill, I just want to thank them because the WBC is a family. And being with the four of you in a convention is something that I really appreciate very much. I have learned from the four of you so many things, and I have spent great time with you in different places, as you already said, in Thailand or in US, Mexico, Azerbaijan, so many places. And it's always like a family meeting. I'm so happy to see you guys and to be a friend of you and enjoy this time together, and especially knowing that you are okay and that we will meet really soon in a boxing arena or in a convention or in some other place and can give you a hug. I want to give a special hug to Mauro because I know he's been in rough time, special rough time, and I really feel that. So Mauro, you're a great guy, and I know you're positive, and you will come up really great.
Gracias, hermano, gracias.
Sí.
Te lo agradezco mucho.
Siempre, Mauro.
And a small shout out to Bismarck Morales, who I understand is leaving the hospital.
Yes,
Oh, I didn't know that.
he did leave the hospital, which is great.
Well, I just want to thank you for your friendship and for your time, Jill, also for being such a wonderful person and helping here with these four big guys in boxing.
Invited me on with three men. You think I'm going to say no with these? Stupid.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, adios, amigos.
I have two more things to say. Stay home, stay healthy, Jill.
Stay cool. Or in this case, stay hip.
And also, happy trails.
Happy trails.
Be
Lo mismo a ti.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Take care. Thank you. This was round 53 of the WBC Talks. Thank you very much.
Bye.